Rocky Intertidal Zone is a really important environment to monitor because it's right at the edge of the ocean. So it's right where the land interfaces with the ocean. There's a high diversity of species living there, and also this is a really vulnerable place because people living on land have a lot of impacts on the ocean. There are impacts due to runoff and development, as well as oil spills. And so the organisms in this area are really vulnerable to those impacts. They're also really vulnerable to climate change impacts. And part of that is because those organisms are constantly dealing with being exposed to air and water on a differing basis as the tides come in and out. And so they're exposed to a lot of stress when the tide goes out, and they're exposed to warm temperatures, and the tide comes back in and they're exposed to intense wave action. And it can also tell us a lot about what the impacts due to climate change will be in the ocean, because these are organisms that are already on that extreme fringe of the ocean. My name is Blanchette, and I'm a research biologist with the University of California, Santa Barbara in the Marine Science Institute. The Rocky Intertidal Zone is an amazing place as a biologist to study because there's such a high biodiversity of species that are living in a really small place. Imagine the entire savannas of Africa with all the predators, all the prey, all the herbivores living within a few square inches of each other. So there are a lot of fascinating things happening on a very small scale. And the organisms there also have very short generation times, and so it's really a great place to do experiments, to try to figure out the kinds of interactions that species have with one another, as well as trying to figure out how can so many species coexist together in a small place. And so the Rocky Intertidal has become this really important area for ecological research to try to understand these bigger questions. So you can actually experience the animals and the plants and the species living in the ocean in a very easy way just by walking along the shoreline. Well, the Rocky Intertidal Zone is full of really cool and interesting creatures that do really different things than the things you might think predators on land might do. For instance, there's a snail predator in the Rocky Intertidal that actually eats mussels. Mussels are hard-shelled organisms that are really difficult to open. And the way it eats mussels is by drilling a hole through the shell and slurping out the tissue of the mussel. And another predator is the sea star, Pisaster, and this is a predator that can actually grab onto the mussel, pull the shells open just a little bit, and then how it eats the mussel is it sticks its stomach inside of the mussel and digests it in place. And these are the kinds of things that most people wouldn't even imagine could happen.